Hi, this is Amy Romeo from the jewelry making and craft blog, amyromeo.com, and on this channel I like to share fun and easy jewelry making and craft projects. Today in this video I have two really fun summer faux leather keychain designs. I have a watermelon and an avocado for you. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make both of these keychains using faux leather, heat transfer vinyl, and a Cricut. You can use any of the 5 current Cricut machines, the Maker, the Maker 3, the Explorer Air 2, the Explorer 3, or even the Cricut Joy. So if you're ready to learn step by step how to make an avocado and a watermelon keychain using your Cricut, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go over the tools and materials I'll be using to make the avocado and watermelon faux leather keychains. I'll have all of these items linked for you in the description, and I also have a link to my blog post with written directions for this project as well. So I'll be using the Cricut Maker, but you could also use the Explorer Air 2, the Explorer 3, the Maker 3, or even the Cricut Joy. And that's because we're using the standard fine point blade that comes with all 5 of those machines. So to cut the faux leather, I'll be using the purple strong grip mat, and then to cut the heat transfer vinyl, I'll be using the green standard grip mat. If you're using the Cricut Joy, just use the green mat that comes with the Joy. The faux leather that I'm using is a green. This is just from Amazon. It's on a roll. You can use any green faux leather that you like, and this will be the base for both the watermelon and the avocado. And then we're going to apply some layers of heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather. So this lime green we'll use for both the watermelon and the avocado, and then the watermelon will also add some red and black. I'm using glitter heat transfer vinyl, but you could use solid if you wanted to. And then for the avocado, I have a glitter brown for the seed and another shade of green to add an accent color. And to apply the heat transfer vinyl to the faux leather, I'm going to use my Easy Press Mini from Cricut. You can use a regular Easy Press as well. I'm going to use the low setting with my Mini. If you're using a regular Easy Press, I recommend you set it to about 265 degrees. Be sure you have something like a heat pressing pad to protect your surface, and you'll also need a cover sheet of some kind. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed down to a smaller size. You could also use butcher paper or parchment paper. I'll use some blue painter's tape to tape the faux leather down to the purple strong grip mat. That's going to help me get a nice cut. And then to glue the keychain together, I'll be using some of this Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. This is a great glue for gluing faux leather. You could also use something like art glitter glue or barely art glue or any fabric glue that you really like working with. There's a trick to getting a really nice seal on these fold over and glued keychains, and I'll show you what that is when we get to the assembly part. The keyring part, I'll just be using a round keyring. This is a 1 1/4 inch size. I really like this size, and I get them in gold finish and silver finish on Amazon. And then you can add an optional tassel, which I'll show you. These are really fun faux suede tassels. They come in different lengths, different colors, and then different finishes. So if you're going with the gold hardware, then look for the gold top tassels. Here you can see some gold tops that are long, and then some silver ones that are short. So it's really up to you. To attach the keychain hardware, I'll be using some flat nose jewelry making pliers and also some jump rings. I think these are 8mm size, but I've gone up, to 10 or 12mm. Works really well for attaching that little tassel. And then on hand, you'll just want to have a weeding tool of some kind for when you're weeding your vinyl, and also some craft scissors. So let me show you now how to go ahead and get the SVG for both of these projects, and then we'll hop into Cricut Design Space. I'll show you how we're going to upload the SVG, cut out the mats, and then we'll assemble our keychains. So to make this project, you'll want to get the SVG for the keychain from my SVG shop. I have hundreds of SVGs in my shop for keychains and earrings. At the time I'm recording this, I don't have the SVG for this project in my shop yet, but by the time you're watching this video, it will be there. You can click on the link here on the screen or get the link in the description. It'll bring you to a product page, just like my taco earrings SVG, and you'll see that you can either choose a personal use version or you can choose a small commercial use version, which gives you a commercial use license to sell physical products made from my designs. Then you'll check out and you'll receive an email and you will download the SVG folder. The folder will be zipped and you will need to unzip it before you can upload the unzipped SVG file to Cricut Design Space. So on a blank canvas in Design Space, you'll start by clicking on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG files are for this project. And it's important that they're unzipped so you can upload them into Cricut Design Space. You'll follow the prompts to upload the files one at a time, and then they'll appear here in your recent uploads row. You can choose whether you want to do the watermelon or the avocado. I'm going to actually cut them both because some of these layers are going to cut from the same material on the same mat and we'll save some time. So a quick way to bring both of these designs onto our canvas at once is to select one of them. And then on my keyboard, I'm holding the Shift key and then I'm selecting the second one. So they're both highlighted. If you don't like this trick or it doesn't work for you, of course you can select one of them, bring it onto the canvas, and then just return to that upload menu and you'll see the second one here and you'll click on it and bring it in that way. But here I have both selected, so I'll click on Add to Canvas. Let me just drag this one over and you can see that we have some similar colors here. So Cricut breaks down each of our mats by color. So let's click on the color sync feature. This is a great way to preview how your mats are going to cut. So we have a mat where the black seeds will cut. We have a mat that's dark green where both of the faux leather sort of outline, the base pieces for both keychains will cut. They'll cut on the same mat because they're on the same color. Then there's a sort of medium green for the avocado, the brown of the seed, this lime green, so there's a lime green piece on both designs here, and then the red seeds. So now that I've double checked and I know what all of my mats are going to cut from, I'll go ahead and click the Make It button. I'm cutting on a mat. And Design Space has automatically separated out all of my mats by color. So the most important thing to do first is to go through every mat and click that mirror button on. And this is important because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl, they cut in reverse. They cut face down on the mat. So we need to mirror the shape. So when we take them off the mat, they'll be facing the right way. The only exception for this is if you were cutting the vinyl layers from permanent vinyl. Permanent vinyl does not cut in reverse, so you would only mirror the dark green mat, which is the faux leather, and for permanent vinyl, you would leave all of the vinyl mats unmirrored. But in this case, I'm using heat transfer vinyl, so I've mirrored every single mat, and now I'm just going to go through, click on each one at a time. I'm going to drag the shapes away from the edge, from the side and the top of the mat, just a little bit, and I'm also going to make a mental note of what size vinyl I want to put on my mat so I can cut out these shapes nicely. So for example, for the avocado seeds, I'll need a piece of brown glitter vinyl about 3 inches wide and 2 inches tall. And I'll repeat this for each mat, just dragging them apart a little bit, giving them a little bit of space from each other and away from the edge. This is our faux leather mat, and again, I'm pulling it away from the edge and making a note, we'll need a piece of faux leather about 5 inches wide and 8 inches tall for that mat. Here are little seeds. Now it's important to note if your mat is losing its sticky in this top left-hand corner and you're trying to cut a lot of shapes up here, you can always drag your shapes around to a more sticky part of your mat if necessary. I'll put those right back there. So last one, just dragging a little bit away from the left edge and the top, giving them some space from each other. And then all of our mats are mirrored and sort of set to cut. So I'm going to click back on the green, the dark green mat. That's my faux leather mat, which I will cut first. And then I'll click continue. So for faux leather, I always use this faux leather paper thin setting. Even though the material is not paper thin, this is the best faux leather setting, in my opinion, for cutting faux leather with a Cricut. If you don't have this material, selection highlighted as a bookmark like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using an Explore Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you can find this setting. But I have it here, so I'll go ahead and click on it. And then I always change the pressure to more when cutting faux leather. Now the other vinyl mats will cut according to the recommended material settings for your particular manufacturer and your material. I'm going to be using 2 layers of regular vinyl, so I will use the vinyl setting with default pressure. And then for the layers I'll be cutting from glitter heat transfer vinyl, I'm using the Caesar brand, which is really thick and nice. So I will use the glitter vinyl setting with default pressure, and I will repeat the cut 1 time for those thicker glitter layers. But we're all set to go here. As you can see, the fine point blade is the recommended blade with this setting. So we're all set to go. Let's hop back into my overhead camera and we'll start to cut out our mats, and then we'll assemble our keychains. So I've gone ahead and I've trimmed my green faux leather to the size that I noted in the mat preview screen, which, if you remember, was 8 inches tall and 5 inches wide. So I'm going to place this pretty side down on my mat. And then you want to press it down all over. If you have a brayer, it's a good idea to brayer this. And then I'm going to use the blue painter's tape and tape around on all sides. This is going to help get nice cuts from our faux leather. 2 things are important here. One is that we trimmed our material to a smaller size instead of trying to tape down a very large piece. And second, we're taping down with blue painter's tape. And this tape can be reused several times. So after you cut your mat, be sure to peel up the tape carefully and put it somewhere where you can use it again. So we've got our mat taped up. In Design Space, we have our faux leather paper thin setting ready to go with more pressure. So we'll just load this into the Cricut and begin the cut. So the Cricut has finished making the first pass. The faux leather paper thin setting is actually a double cut, so it automatically double cut our material twice, but we still want to check and make sure the cut was complete, because we can rerun the cut if necessary, as long as we haven't unloaded the mat. So what I always do is use a sharp weeding tool and just sort of lift up the edge of my shapes to see if it looks like they cut all the way through. If you're able to lift up like that cleanly, then it looks like it's ready to go. If when you're trying to lift up, there are still parts that are connected or it's not cut all the way through, it's easy to rerun the cut. Just press the cut button again. As long as you haven't unloaded the mat, you can do that as many times as you need to. If you're on the Joy, the rerun button will be on your screen in Design Space. So I don't think I need to rerun these because they look like they cut well, but I wanted to let you know this is a really simple solution for making sure that your cuts went through and you're not wasting material. So let's unload the mat and we'll remove our shapes. And this is a great time for you to see exactly how these work. Here's our little avocado shape, and these keychains just fold over. Our key ring goes up here, and then we'll glue in between. But we won't glue until we've applied all of our vinyl to the outside of both layers. So this looks good. And there's our little watermelon. So we're back in Cricut Design Space, and now it's time to start cutting out these vinyl mats. So for example, I'll click on this one. Again, you can hover over the mat preview and you can remind yourself of what shape and size of vinyl you need for each mat. So I think I'll cut this light green one first. So it looks like I need a piece of vinyl just over 3 inches tall and just past 7 inches wide. So let's click on this one. And as I mentioned, I'll be using the vinyl cut setting with default pressure for this one. And this is what you'll do after you cut every mat. You'll return here to Design Space, select on a mat that needs to be cut, and choose your material setting. So let's hop back over to my overhead camera and I'll show you how to cut this one out. So I've trimmed out that lime green heat transfer vinyl from the roll, and I'm just going to place it down on the mat, shiny side down. As I mentioned, if your mat isn't as sticky, another trick you can do is you can apply a little bit of blue painter's tape to any corners that want to lift up. So I think I'll do that right there. I already have the vinyl setting with default pressure ready to go. So we'll load the mat and cut the mat. So the cut is complete. I'll unload the mat. And it's a little hard to see, but we'll just peel this off the mat. And then using a sharp weeding tool, you'll go ahead and weed out the excess. On the avocado, it's important to remember that you want to weed out that little seed because we're going to cut the seed from brown glitter. So I'll just peel away the excess here. So our first vinyl layer is cut. We've got the watermelon and the avocados. And now what I would do is return to Cricut Design Space and cut the rest of the vinyl mats. So I have one more regular vinyl mat, and then I have 3 glitter heat transfer vinyl mats. I'll cut each of the mats one by one, weed them out, separate them, cut them apart, and then I'll return and show you how to press the vinyl layers onto the faux leather keychain bases. So I finished cutting all of my vinyl layers, and as I mentioned, I trimmed all of the shapes apart from each other, and I have everything ready to go. And my Easy Press Mini is set to the low setting. That's just that first green line. Again, if you're using a regular Easy Press, set it to 265 degrees. It's always better to start lower and then go up as needed. And you'll want to have your little cover sheet. This is my Teflon sheet, like the large ones you buy when you're pressing t-shirts. I just trim them down a little smaller so they're good for jewelry and keychain size. So let's go ahead and start with the watermelon. So there's 2 steps here. We need to press the heat transfer vinyl in layers, or if you're using permanent vinyl, layer the permanent vinyl layers, and then we need to glue the keychain together. So what we want to do is press all the layers first and then glue. If we were to glue first and then heat press, the glue in between the layers, if it's not completely dry, it'll make the faux leather bubble, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll go ahead and press all the layers first and then glue. So we'll just go ahead and kind of layer these together like a little puzzle piece. Let's see, this one must go on this side. It's always a good idea to have the artwork pulled up on Design Space so that you can see which side goes on which. So let me show you. See here, when I layer this light green piece, there's a nice even dark green border all around. When I first put it over here, it didn't line up right. Do you see that? It's off center. So that tells me that's not the right half for that side. So there we go. We're just lining up those little teeth marks. I'm going to hold down with my fingers, cover with my cover sheet, and then with the Easy Press ready to go, I'll press for about 5 to 10 seconds. If you're using a regular Easy Press, you can just set it down. You don't need any movement like I'm doing now with the little iron. Now, keeping the faux leather flat, you want to carefully peel away the clear cover sheet. If when you're peeling the vinyl lifts up, then you just place it right back down and press again. And that came out really nice and smooth. So with faux leather, you can layer heat transfer vinyl on it just like you do with t-shirts. But you have a little more flexibility because these pieces are not going in the washing machine. So some of the rules like layering, you know how with shirts you're not supposed to layer other heat transfer vinyl on top of glitter. With keychains and earrings, because they don't go through the wash, you can break some of those rules and you can apply different types of heat transfer vinyls on top of each other. Okay, so we've got both of those sides done. Now we're going to layer our glitter vinyl. Watermelon, the red part, this would be really pretty with like a fuchsia pink too. It doesn't have to be red, and it doesn't have to be glitter. But I find that the glitter is a nice contrast with the matte shapes of this layer of vinyl and the green. So I'll cover again. So every time, just slowly and carefully peel back these layers just in case you need to press it back down. Just kind of go slow with it. And now our little seed layer. So this is a good example of what I was talking about. This is glitter heat transfer vinyl, and so is this. On a t-shirt, you would not layer the glitter on top of the glitter, but with keychains and earrings, it works just fine. And now I've got my nice big thick book here. I'm gonna just press this underneath the heavy book, let it cool in a nice flat position while we do the avocado. So same idea. We're gonna start with the largest shape, which is the sort of middle green. We're gonna put it down, place it so that there's an even green border showing all around. I hope you can see that. And then we'll just press. So you'll notice that the circle shape is cut out for the little seed and on this layer as well. And that's because whenever possible, you want to layer the heat transfer vinyl and have it directly touch the surface underneath. So just like in a t-shirt, when you're layering vinyl, whenever possible, you want the vinyl not to be touching other layers of vinyl, but to go all the way down to the t-shirt base. That's the same idea here when we're layering heat transfer vinyl for faux leather. And the last part is just this little brown glitter seed. All right, that came out really cute. So we can turn off our Easy Press Mini and move it to the side. What I'm gonna do now is just swap out the watermelon for the avocado. And we want to put the keychain on, and whether you put a tassel on or not, you still need to put a key ring. So I'm gonna get those out. And I wanna put the key ring on first. You can put the key ring on after, you know, by opening the split ring part of the key ring and sliding it on, but I don't want to put any pressure or damage this little faux leather bridge, so I'm going to actually do that now. Let me move this out of the way. Again, I'm using that Beacon Fabri-Tac. I love this for gluing faux leather keychains. If you're gluing faux leather for earrings, then I like using the Barely Art Glue because it has that little precision glue tip, but this is my choice for keychains. So what I'm going to do is just sort of roll the little watermelon shape so that I can slide the key ring on. Flip it over, move the key ring out of the way, and then we'll apply our glue. So I want to apply the glue pretty close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge, because there will be some seepage when you press this down, and that seepage will hopefully get to the edge and create a nice firm seal. Kind of glue all around on the inside. And you don't want to glue on that little bridge part. You only need to glue on one side. That's enough glue. And now I'm just going to carefully fold this over, line up those little edges and the bite marks and all the details. Let me try and pick it up. And I told you there was a key to getting this nice and flat. So I'll share that with you now. What we're going to do is we're going to place this under our heavy book here for several hours to let this dry. And that's going to help us get a really nice tight edge along the outside. So let me go ahead and set that one down. I want the key ring part. I'm going to leave the key ring part out of the book and just press this down. And then we'll repeat with our avocado. So we've got our little avocado glued, and I'm going to also place it underneath the book. with the key ring out. And here's another little trick that I like to do. I'm going to put my Easy Press, my 9x9 Easy Press on top. It is not on, not turned on. It's not even plugged into the wall, but it's just nice and heavy and flat. So I'm going to place that there, and I'm going to let this dry for a couple of hours. Then we'll come back and we'll attach our little tassels, and I'll show you how to finish the white edges of the keychains. Okay, so our glued keychains have had time to dry. Let's see how they did under the heavy book. Oh, that looks great. See how tight that seam is and how smooth it is? That's from pressing it under the book, and that's how you get that really nice close edge. Let's look at that one. So this one looks like I could put a little more glue in there, so I might use my Barely art glue that has that little narrow fine tip, and just squeeze a little extra glue in there and press it a little bit more. That's something that you can do. But on these, I wanted to show you, if you're using a colored faux leather like this one is, you can use a color coordinated Sharpie, and you can just sort of match up the edges and get rid of that white edge if it bothers you. You just kind of come in here with the Sharpie like this and color all the way around. And the cool thing about Sharpies is there are so many Sharpie colors, you're bound to find one that's close enough. See how that just sort of colors up that edge? But that's a nice way to finish these off. It's not necessary, but it's a nice touch. So the last thing I wanted to show you is how to attach the little tassel. And again, keep in mind that these tassels come in lots of different lengths and colors. They're usually faux suede. You can also buy little charms or pom-poms. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. So I've got the jump ring here. I'm just going to open it. This is an 8mm jump ring. It's a little smaller than I usually like to do. For these, I would probably go a little higher, something like a 10mm or maybe even a 12. But I just open up the jump ring, slide it on the key ring, and close it up again. And that's it. Super cute. Let's do the same thing for the watermelon. There we go. Our little avocado and our watermelon faux leather keychains are complete. I hope you like this project and you're going to try making an avocado or a watermelon keychain yourself. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite and which one you're going to try making. I would love to know. If you like this project, I have so many more cool faux leather keychain tutorials on my channel. If you just keep watching, the playlist will start for you. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be notified every time I post a new tutorial. Just hit that little bell notification and you'll get the notification instantly. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.